I don't go out drinking. I don't feel like that's a good decompression thing. So it's either like I get off the boat and it's taking that time to myself to decompress and, going for a walk or whatever gives me that joy. And for me, it's like, eating nice food or seeing something nice or going for a swim. Like all of those things are very valuable to me, and taking care of myself in the healthiest way possible is what makes me feel recharged.
Hey guys, you're listening to The Side Hustle Movement, a podcast for you, the high-achieving female entrepreneur who's tired of their 9 to 5. Now, I know you're wanting to turn that side hustle into your full-time gig. Hell yeah. I'm Sheree Murray, ex-chef from the luxury super yachts, and now I'm living life on my own terms, helping women reclaim their financial sovereignty, time choice, and freedom back. Now, each week, I'm going to be bringing you tips and tricks straight to your phone that you can implement into your business. Are you ready to take your side hustle to the next level?
All right, guys, welcome to the Side Hustle Movement. And I'm so freaking excited to bring to you today. We have a special guest, Jenna MacGillivray, all the way from the USA. Jenna, thanks so much for tuning in.
Hello.
And guys, Jenna is a fellow yachty. As you guys know, like I use this podcast to talk a lot about business, but I also weave a lot of mindset and mindfulness into this. And, the last couple of weeks, I've been freelancing at a regatta, and I realized how freaking burnt out I got during those 2 weeks. And this is very common with women in business, women in yachting, and of course, just in general life, right? We seem to work ourselves to the bone. And it's not very often we're being kind to ourselves and giving ourselves the time to reset. And I really wanted to bring to light, some cool tools and resources that we could utilize to, reset, to bring back our mindset, to rest, recharge, and just get back on track, because it happens to everyone. And, at the end of my 2 weeks cooking for 30 guys, I was go, go, go. And obviously my adrenals ran out. I got adrenal fatigue. I came back from that regatta back to Palma, just absolutely shattered. Like I couldn't rest my mind. I was always thinking, what's next? What's next? I didn't know how to relax. So I got back to my simple tools like meditation, journaling, exercise. And I've really started to share those tools and my feelings around burnout and around burnout in general. And I've started to notice that a lot of women are feeling the same way within the industry and within business. And I really wanted to bring someone else on to share like their view, because we've all got stories, right? And we've all got resources and things that help us. And I thought, what better way than to bring a fellow yacht crew member, because we are some of the busiest people in the world sometimes, right?
Oh yeah, it's crazy.
And I loved how you said before we jumped on, Jenna, about it's kind of just expected. We're kind of expected to just work and go, 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 and no one really says anything. And can we dive back to that? I wish we had recorded that, but can you dive back to what you were saying before?
Yeah, so definitely, I mean, I've spent I'm trying to think now. I think it's 8 or 9 years in the yachting industry, and I've been back and forth. And in between there, of yachting, I've worked in social work, as well as some of you know. And the experience I have with yachting is definitely like, there's a lot of commentary where it's like, you don't give up a yachting job to go to your sister's wedding or to see your nephew be born, or, all of these important things that go on in our lives, because it's always like the primary focus of yachting is that the guests are number one and they pay your checks and they're the number one person. And then that really means that you come secondary. And that's contrary to how most of us either know to live our lives or aspire to live our lives, because if you don't take care of number one, then you're not really taking care of anyone else, right? And that is definitely a mind frame of yachting, is that we just have to put everything else aside, including ourselves and our own mental health and our own wellness, to make sure that the guests are happy all the time. And it's kind of a crazy thing when you think about the fact that you are willing to do that on a consistent basis, and it's exhausting. And sometimes you come to a breaking point, I think.
Yeah, 100%. And you're so right. We just put so much love into other people, whether you're a chef, stewardess,
Yeah.
deckhand, captain, whatever. It's always about the guests. It's never like, oh, what do we want? It's all
Yeah.
about, okay, are they being looked after? And it's 24/7, right? Like there's
Yeah.
no stopping. There's no,
Hmm.
there's no like Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. When you're on charter, you are on charter at the whim of, any request that's dropped down. I
Yeah.
must
And
admit,
sorry, I was going to say when you're in charge, you're the chef or you're the chief stew or you're the mate, but usually it's the service side of it, right? So chief stew and chef, you're constantly, I think, on, and you're just thinking, God, have I done this right? Have I done enough with this? Have I given them enough food? Do they like the food? And you're kind of waking up in the night, even just thinking, have you done this properly? And you want to make sure that, you've done it well. And I think that's when you're at the top of your game, or when you're in charge as a chef or as a chief stew, you are there because of the fact that you're constantly thinking about those guest needs, and it's hard to shut that off.
oh, 100%. I know many times I've actually woken up dreaming about guest menus and what I'm going to what I'm going to make people the next day. It's insane.
Yeah.
It happens every single charter without a doubt.
Yeah.
Like the brain doesn't switch off until the guests are like off the boat. And then if you've got a back-to-back charter, then you're like, okay, let's think about the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know, like, obviously we're coming up to like what would be the end of the season now. Like, I know a lot of friends are finishing off hectic charter seasons, going, probably for months on end with their boss on board. I know COVID has stopped people from traveling a lot, so it seems like bosses are on their boat 24/7.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy, hey? Like,
oh yeah. Yeah. It's insane if your boss doesn't leave, then you're like, it's just that feeling, and I know you know it, where you're like, I'm always having to be switched on. And the second they got off, you just like breathe this kind of sigh of relief, where you're like, oh, I don't have to answer to somebody else's needs right now. I can actually just start thinking about my own needs. And that's a nice feeling.
yeah, it is. It is. I always used to find that on the last day of charter, it was like my mind and body finally connected, and my body would just start to fully relax, and then the tiredness would kick in.
Oh yeah. You almost get like sick sometimes too if you've done a really long season, and yeah, it's exhausting.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. And I've definitely felt more connected, like, to my body. It's a bit woo-woo, but like connected to my body and like really feeling it. Like when I am finishing those charters, how I'm feeling, noticing how my body is immediately switching off when it knows the guests are gone, or it's their last 6 hours on board,
Yeah.
like the countdown.
I get to have a shower and do my hair.
Maybe clip your fingernails and shave your legs as well.
Yeah.
Like it's such basic human needs that we finally get to do.
I always thought of it like, I floss when the guests aren't on, and I don't floss when they're on, because I'm like, I don't have time to floss my teeth. That's like a luxury.
Yeah. And isn't that crazy that it is a luxury? Like that we get to that point where we're so into the zone of yachting and the day in, day out charters, the long days. Like for me personally, I feel like I am almost addicted to that rush, like that adrenaline high.
It's good.
No, it's definitely good, but then the crash is crazy.
Oh yeah. As it always is. If you have a high, you're gonna have a low.
No, exactly right. Exactly. Yeah. And I feel like coming into like 13 years now, I've done 13 years of yachting, but the last 3 have been freelance. Yeah, it's crazy. I feel like now I feel it more than ever. And what I'm really enjoying, like what I'm really liking now and seeing a lot more of, is we're actually talking about this, how we're feeling like as a woman in the industry. Yeah. Some people, well, they don't like to talk a lot, that there is a bit of a clock ticking on women in the industry. And I get, yes, if you want to be a captain, then there's not. But for me personally, as a woman in yachting, as a chef, I feel like there's a time limit. I feel like my body can only take so much.
Yeah.
And, and it's not what I want to do full time anyway. But for the moment, when the highs are the highs and I'm enjoying them, why not? So let's say there's like a woman in yachting, she's just finished the busy season, as we said. What would be like your tips? What got you through those hectic times? Like, we don't always have a lot of time to, I would love to say, yes, journal every morning while on charter, do your yoga on the bow. I barely had time to keep my journaling consistent. Maybe I'd do, me personally, I would say, maybe on your 5-minute breaks, listen to some meditation. I love like those frequencies of music on YouTube, like 428 and stuff. But I love that sort of stuff. And when you're on charter, sometimes 5 minutes of listening to that was an absolute game changer for me personally, you know.
Yeah. I'd say for me, so I'm an introverted extrovert and I really need that space from people. So for me, it's finding a little bit of space or time that if I have those breaks, let's say on charter, it's having that break to decompress for myself. So it's really shutting off and making a conscious decision not to be thinking about the guests for a minute, even though, you know, I know that it's priority, but if nobody's interrupting me, then I'm taking that time and I'm doing some breathing exercises. For me, when you drop off guests, like a huge component of yachting is the drinking decompression. And I think that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's for most workplaces, I think, where you heavily work and then you have time off and you parallel between the two. It's like, that's our coping strategy, is to decompress by drinking. And for me, I'm not a huge drinker anymore because I can't handle the hangovers. And for me, it's not good for my mental health. And I just feel like it interferes with a lot of what I'm doing, because I like to have physical exercise and laughing with people and all those things. And I just find I don't do that as much if I'm drinking. So I don't go out drinking. I don't feel like that's a good decompression thing. So it's either like I get off the boat and it's taking that time to myself to decompress and, you know, going for a walk or whatever gives me that joy. And for me, it's like, you know, eating nice food or seeing something nice or going for a swim. Like all of those things are very valuable to me, and taking care of myself in the healthiest way possible is what makes me feel recharged. So that's where I turn to now.
Yeah, nice. And you're so right. Drinking is a massive decompression method in the yachting world. And sometimes it can be tricky not to, because I quite like exercise too. And I realize like the best way for me to decompress is to go for a walk, do some sprinting, like when the guests are off the boat. And it can be really hard not to get into that trap, which almost becomes, you know, like into that trap of going for a drink, having a drink on the dock or in the crew mess as soon as the guests are off, you know, having that celebration drink. It can be quite hard to know.
I don't even crave that, to be honest. Like I just, I'm almost happier when I'm just myself and not having substances and I'm just hanging out with people. So that makes me, because I know that if I have one glass of wine or 2 glasses of wine, I feel dizzy and tired and I just don't feel as good. So it's like almost better for me just to be like, no, I'm good, but I am still celebrating whatever. But I almost like, I choose not to really be around the crew because I just need that decompression. I don't know how you feel about that, but it's like, I've just spent so much time with them. That's where my expiry with yachting comes in now, is like, I very much value my alone time more than I ever did. I used to want to be around everyone. I used to want to go drinking. And now that I don't, it's like, okay, I probably shouldn't be in yachting too much longer, because it's hard to have those times with people, right? When you're just not, or I go to boats that aren't big party boats. You know, when I join, it's like, you know, I'm not a big partier. I like to be on a boat where the people are health conscious, or they're like physical activities, or they like to actually explore the places rather than just go out boozing. And so I don't really join boats that are like heavy party boats, and that works for me.
Yeah. I'm definitely into having the alone time after the charters, and because being around so many people for such a long periods of time.
So intense.
I find, I love being around people. I love getting to meet new people. But then if I've spent a lot of time with people for like, you know, an extended period of time, then I definitely need my alone time. And I've noticed that, especially after the last 2 freelance gigs I've needed like a good couple of days, a week, just to chill. And I find myself saying no to social events a lot more than I used to, because I just need that time to decompress. You know, get back to me and my routine and what lights me up. 100%. And what I love right now, like what I'm seeing more in the industry now, is that there are a lot of healthier boats out there. Yes, people will still go really drink.
Yeah.
But it's not what I saw, like, say, 10 years ago, where 99% of the boats were party boats. Now it's probably like, like it was crazy, right? Like every night.
It was so crazy. Like it was so fun. I loved it so much. It was like, you know, that was where it was at the time. But then as you outgrow that, you're like, I can't do that anymore. Like I just can't. I don't want to. I just want to enjoy my time. And if I'm laying in bed for 24 hours after a night of drinking, which a lot of people do now too. It is like, oh, I'm so hungover, and then they'll stay in bed, or oh, where's John? You know, oh, John's in bed because he went too hard last night, and you don't see them for a day. And it's just like, I don't want to waste my time like that.
It's so true. Life's too short to like waste even just a day in bed for a hangover, you know?
Oh my God. And then to feel the shit that you feel as a result of that hangover too, right?
Yeah. What they call the hangxiety.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm
so bad. And like, I just choose not to do that to myself because it just doesn't feel good.
Yeah. I feel like we're all maturing so much these days.
I know. You're like the boring person's guide to decompression. But I mean,
I feel like 18-year-old Sheree would be one.
It is. I mean, it is boring, right? In some ways, and you kind of have to come to terms with it, because it is like, oh, I used to have so many good stories, and now it's like I'm in bed by 10 or 11 p.m. But I have, you know, I may have better stories back in the day because it was like a shit show, but I now have better, you know, days, or I have a better mind frame as a result of taking care of myself and doing what I need to do to make myself feel good on the inside and outside.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's such a cliche saying filling your own cup, but when you do,
right,
like your overall well-being is totally different. And as you say, you have better days. Like when you're looking after yourself, you're getting in that routine that lights you up, doing the things you want to do, and saying yes to the things that are hell yes, and honoring the things that are a no, not being afraid to say no and take time out for you. It's an absolute game changer. And it's just all about priorities, and they shift as you grow, evolve, and move on. 100%.
I agree. Yeah.
100%. But all right, I think this was pretty amazing value. We dived into a lot of different things, and I knew we would deviate, which is even better. I love a good chat, and I just loved hearing what helped you. You know, I know you tap in and out, but you've also been in yachting a really long time, full time, before doing freelance, just like me. And it's just so nice to hear like another woman's perspective, like what's helped them, because I know we're not the only ones that have, you know, felt a little burnt out or exhausted, or, you know, whatever those feelings may be. And I feel like the more we talk about it, the more it makes everyone realize it's okay to talk about it, like just to bring awareness. You know, the way to bring awareness to things is to actually talk about it.
Yeah.
So I love chatting about these things that people might not necessarily chat about all the time. So thank you so much for jumping on, lovely, and sharing your story and a bit of your, you know, your tips and resources with us. It was absolutely epic.
Well, thank you. It's always nice to talk to you. You're so happy, and you have such a nice positive demeanor.
Oh, thank you. Hey, we all have our ebbs and flows. Trust me. Straight up into a
Wait till you see me on day 10 of a charter.
Exactly right.
I'm sure you're still pretty positive.
I try my best. And that's why I try to share the highs and the lows, because I do get a lot of the Sheree, you're so positive. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm also not a robot.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I'll have a
You're like, there's times that I need to decompress and be myself too.
Yeah. Like I might have to have a little bit of a chef dandy and decompress and go away and come back. Like, we're all human. It's absolutely perfect. You just gotta feel those feels and be kind to yourself, right?
Yeah. I agree. Well, thanks for chatting. I really appreciate it.
No, my absolute pleasure, Jenna. Thank you so much for jumping on for this week's episode. And guys, we will see you next week.